I'm Sam Peters, owner and operator of Peters Family Insurance with 2 locations in the Summerlin area of Las Vegas. I'm running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District as well. I want to support the constituents of the 4th Congressional District with a fighting voice in Washington and bring conservative values back to America.
Welcome back to 50 Shades of Blonde. I'm Missy Day.
And Jill Branson.
And our next guest is Sam Peters. Yay!
Almost a standing O, I love it.
Yeah.
Look at you all dressed up in your suit.
Thank you.
I know.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So how do you 2 kids know each other?
We know each other through Rotary. And actually, I may have met you another time at a network meeting, but basically in the last year and a half or so, we've been working together in the Summerlin Rotary Club.
Yep.
And it's been a pleasure, Sam,
It has been fun.
to say.
It has been fun. I'm certain we met in a business networking environment
so,
as well.
Before that.
Yeah.
And then David Dendy, who was just on the last show, he is also in our
David
Summerlin Rotary.
Dendy guy.
Yeah, the guy who laughs often and fears not.
He's got a great message, a very,
He does.
very funny man. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
So,
So let's talk a little bit
Let's-
about what's going on with you.
yes.
Okay.
Big things.
Where shall we begin?
Wow, it's like, I don't know where to start, really. I'm just looking at your card thinking yes and yes and
Yes
yes
and
and
yes
yes
and
and
yes.
yes. So let's talk about business first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Business is good. I'm the owner operator of 2 insurance agencies here in the Summerlin area in Las Vegas. Great staff. Hi, everybody. Great customers as well. We take care of people. That's what we strive to do every day, and do it the best we can through management of risk. And that's what it's all about. So,
I saw you at Jill's Vegas Connects networking, and I was very impressed when you were talking about the books that you have,
just
you
gonna
know,
say that.
onboarding staff read.
Yeah.
Would you mind just sharing about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I onboard staff, there's a process I go through to make sure the person fits with our culture and they have a caring heart and they want to take care of people the way we want to. But when they come on, there's 2 books that I make them read. They have to read to stay on board. There's a 3rd book we'll talk about, but the first book is it's a very short read. It's maybe 20 minutes, but it's The Secrets of Service. I think that's the name of it. Again, talks about one of the main stories in the book is Johnny the Bagger. Johnny the Bagger is a young man, works in a small grocery store. He has Down syndrome. It takes him a little bit longer to maybe bag groceries than it would somebody else, but he does it with pride and caring, and he does it everything perfect, and people just love him, and people go back to the grocery store because they know they're going to get the Johnny the Bagger care and professionalism. So that's one of the stories in the very short read, but that's kind of what we go for. Taking that extra step and making sure people are well cared for and appreciate what we do for them. So that's the first book. The next book, from a sales perspective, if the person graduates into a sales role, it's called Go for No, and it's about making those sales calls. And I won't spoil the story, but it's basically from a sales perspective, you're making a lot of calls, and a lot of people may tell you no, but the more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes.
Right.
So go for a no, and be proud that you got a no, because the next one might be it. So
The yes is coming.
yes is coming. Somebody's going to say yes. It may just take some time.
Right.
So those are the first 2 that they have to read to stay on and grow in the organization. And then I give them a little bit bigger one. It's called the Sales Bible. It's by Gedimer, Jeffrey Gedimer. Again, it's a very easy read, but it's got a lot of great stuff in there on how to be in business.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
Have you ever read Frank Bettger's book?
it's not familiar.
How I Raised Myself to Be a Successful Salesman.
No, I've not read that
It's
one.
old. It's like super old, but it's all that same thing of like sales is about servanthood, right?
Yep.
It's about making that relationship before you just, you've been to networking events where people are like, Hi, I'm Missy, here's my card, buy my stuff.
Buy my stuff, that's right. Thank you for your card. I'll take it under consideration.
Right.
Yeah. No, and that's what it is, and we build relationships. We we have the sales, statistics where it takes somewhere between 7 and 12 contacts before a sale is made, and we strive to make those contacts and make sure that there is a relationship built. And from the management of risk standpoint, we have to understand where the person's coming from in their daily life. If we talk to somebody one time and they buy the insurance policy, that's great, but we're going to talk again and again and again to make sure that it's the right policy for you.
Right.
So yeah, it's all about relationships, for sure.
Love that.
Yep.
All right, kids, hold on to your shorts, because it's gonna happen right in front of you.
Uh-oh.
Right now.
Uh-oh. I'm scared.
So, Sam Peters,
Yeah.
why are you running for Congress?
Ooh, running for Congress. There's a lot of things going on in the world, specifically in the United States. I spent 20 years in the military, fighting for our country.
Yes.
Time in Afghanistan and Iraq and lots of other places. Some I can talk about, some I can't, and it is what it is. But I enjoyed my time in the service. When I retired, I wanted to do this entrepreneurial thing that I'm doing, and we're doing great at. And it's been 6 years since I retired, and seeing the things that are going on now, and then just the vile atmosphere of our federal government. As I talked through it with my wife for the last year or two, somebody's going to do something, right? It's just this whole conversation of, okay, it's an economic issue. So somebody with business sense is, President Trump's in there. He's got business sense. There's going to be somebody else supporting him, and then, nobody does. And then it's the next step of securing the border, and somebody with some security sense is going to step up, and you see where we're at, and and it keeps going down this road, and I keep getting up in the morning, looking at myself in the mirror, and I spent 10 years as a law enforcement person in the military, and I've earned a master's degree in administration with focus on law and finance, and you read the Constitution, and Congress is supposed to be about finance and budget. Okay, somebody's going to do something, and as time goes on, and I look at the picture of my beautiful family. Hi, babe. I look in the mirror and I can't not be in the fight anymore. So here I am, and I'm doing it. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we're making great progress. It's Congressional District 4 here in Nevada, which is basically the northern third of the Las Vegas Valley, north to Yerington on the west side of the state, almost to Carson City, all the way up through White Pine County and Ely on the east side, and everything in between. So it's a massive, massive area. It's about a 5.5 hour drive to Ely. On the east, it's a 5.5, 6 hour drive to Yerington on the west. It's about 6 hours across. So it's a big area, and I've been to almost all of it in the last 3 or 4 months.
A lot of campaigning
So,
and a lot more to do.
yeah, we're reaching people though, and it's good. Things are going well.
Do you
So.
feel like, and I'm going to include myself in this because, I went through life thinking that the government has my best interest at heart and they were going to take care of me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then all this happens and it's like your awareness then becomes like, wow, where have I been? How did all this happen? And how did it happen? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm 60 years old and it's like, I'm not even sure where I'm living at anymore.
You phrased that in a very interesting way, because I've phrased it exactly like that in my mind. I always thought that the government had my back. My dad was in the military as well. He retired from the Army, and I always thought growing up when I was a kid, it's going to be okay. My dad's in the Army. It's all good. Nothing's going to happen, right? And then you go down, you grow up, and you start seeing the things that are happening. And then I joined the military, and I learned a lot about what it was about and how it works, and sometimes how it doesn't. So again, it goes back to that looking in the mirror, and somebody's got to step up. And people, when I first announced, it was there were some folks that said he doesn't know what he's getting into.
Right.
Right? And there's going to be naysayers all the way through the process, and when I'm elected, there'll still be naysayers, probably more of them, and that's okay. I'll represent and take care of them as much as I will anybody else that supports, because that's the job. The job is to represent the people that you live amongst and that are in your community.
Right.
And that's part of why I'm doing this, because again, it goes back to, our government's going to take care of us. A government's supposed to,
Do the right thing.
constitutionally, supposed to, make sure that we're secure.
Right.
And we've gotten a little bit away from that.
Yeah, it's, I remember in high school and in college, I thought, social science, politics was just like so boring. It's like, who needs to know that? And I never watched anything political. I voted, all the time.
Right.
But that was about it. And now, like in the past 3 years, and I'm watching like Senate hearings and I'm watching what's going on, and it's just like, who are these clowns? And why have they been there for like 100 years? You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean, which is exactly why I signed the term limit pledge. So when I become elected, we will pursue term limits and we'll support Ted
that is
Cruz
so awesome.
and his
Nice.
efforts there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you have a government that's set up to elect people, and the people being elected are in part being elected through a casting call, you have an issue,
Right.
and more people need to step up. And I look at it as well. When I become elected, I have never held political office, and I get that question all the time. Well, you've never run for anything. How dare you run for Congress? Well, my background and my expertise that I bring to it, to me, goes along with the job that they're supposed to be doing. So that's why I'm doing it. And one of the things I think about, when I become a congressman, having never done any political, and there's lots of people in Congress that are in those same shoes, I want to be somebody that can come back to the community and go to a school or go to a meeting of, at a community center and talk to kids about, that question about what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? And, some kids don't know. And,
Right.
and I've told kids, even when my military career, talking to younger trainees when I worked in basic training, I would often tell them, you don't know what jobs are out there. And this is just the starting point. And nobody should ever tell you, you can't do this or you can't do that. And when people tell me that I can't do it, I'm emboldened by it. And I say,
Right.
I think to
Right.
myself, watch.
Because it's interesting that any other field, right? People apply, oh, good for you, you're gonna go do this and all that.
Right.
But then when you don't have the background of a career politician and you wanna get into politics, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Right. And I'm coming in, and I'll say it all the way through, and even after. I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician. People have told you've told me that, but I'm a leader, and I've been a leader.
Right.
And let me show you how. So that's kind of my platform and where I'm going. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So you've got a lot of cool things on the back of this card here. So what would you say, out of these, what are your top two that you feel really like I need to make that happen?
The hottest item on the back of this card right now, they're all important, and I won't diminish any of them, but the hottest thing going right now is the border. And all of these things too,
Hot topic.
none of the, none
For
of
sure.
these issues, and I'll share with the audience so they know what we're talking about. Secure the borders, defend our Second Amendment rights, require fiscal responsibility in Washington, restore the integrity of Congress, make health care affordable and accessible, and protecting paychecks through jobs and those kind of things. So those are the 6 that are on here. None of them operate in a vacuum. They are all interconnected in some way. I believe securing the borders it's listed number 1 on the card because that is the most important thing going on right now. Having spent, again, 20 years in the Air Force, 10 of it as a law enforcement person, deploying all over the globe, and working in all 50 states, defending and protecting a sovereign piece of ground is not just a wall. It's not just a border. It's not just, you know, a line in the sand. There's more to it than that. And if you don't have borders, and as President Reagan said, a nation without borders is not a nation. And that's where we're at. So I would say that's number one. It's tough on the other five. I mean, fiscal responsibility, I would probably put number two. We spend way too much money, and with a $22 trillion deficit, you can't, that amount of money is unfathomable. You know, we used to talk about, when I was a kid, we used to talk about being a millionaire, right? We want to be a millionaire. And now there's a song, I want to be a billionaire, right? And that's an incredible amount of money. And $1 billion to most people, myself included, it's an unfathomable amount of cash. And we're talking 22 trillion. Which is
You can't
three
exactly
more
wrap
zeros.
around your head.
Right, it's an incredible number, and you know, we start talking about, and you start talking about families and little kids and whatnot. You know, what are my kids going to face?
Right.
You know, because right now it's 22 trillion with the interest and the almost $1 trillion deficit that we have this year in the annual budget. You know, we're talking probably 24 trillion next year. Well, what happens after that? You know, it's going to get to a point where, and we say it, I've heard it said often, it's going to be, we're not going to be able to pay back the interest with our GDP. That's reality, and it's often lost in our daily lives. So those are probably the top two.
I have a question for you.
They're super exciting, I know. It's very,
Super exciting.
yeah, so it's reality though. We got to address it.
Is it possible to change these things?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. It is a uphill battle all day long. It's not something that I'm naive to think that I'm going to go to Washington and be the savior and Washington, I'm here. That's not how it's going to work at all, I'm certain. But if you don't start, it's you know, it's the first step in a journey. You never get to the destination until you take the first step.
Somebody's got to start.
And somebody's got to
Right.
start. So there are people in Nevada that are looking at some of the other districts that I know are of very like mind. There are districts in other parts of the country, California, that I've met with some candidates also of very like mind. So there's an upswell, and we just got to make sure that we follow through.
Yeah, and I think people just need to be awake. I'm watching this show, it's called Handmaid's Tale.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning,
And it like freaks everybody
and
out.
early on in the show, they talk about, you know, that we've been sleeping and all these things have been going on, and now we're awake. And now what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where we're at.
Mm-hmm. And it is, and there's so many other issues. And then, you know, we listed 6 on the back of the card because the card can only hold so much. And there's, I mean, we could fill the table with topics, but you know, the military obviously is near and dear to my heart. The veterans, taking care of veterans, you know, and going again. None of these operate in a vacuum, like I mentioned. You know, securing the border. You know, we can't take care of folks from outside if we can't take care of our folks from
Right.
the inside.
Right.
You know, with the veterans, the homeless here in Nevada, you know, we talk about Rotary and we talk about homeless children that we've served.
Right.
You know, those are real issues locally that we need to be able to take care of. So,
How can we help you get the word out? Even if we're
yeah.
not in your district or whatever,
Yeah, so-
what can we do?
so a couple of things. One hour, I just want to preface it by saying you don't have to be a Republican
Right.
to support. I will, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I am a Republican and I have conservative values that I'm taking with me. That doesn't mean that I'm not meeting with, you know, generally more diverse and Democrat populace, because I'm doing that too. So when I tell you how you can support it, side of the aisle doesn't matter. Go to my website, sampetersforcongress.com. There's a button on there for info. If you put in your information, it will put you on a newsletter list so you can kind of stay in touch. We'll be looking for volunteers as the campaign goes down the road. If you're inclined to donate, these things are not, campaigns don't fund themselves, unfortunately. So fundraising is a big part of it. And I joke with people, you know, in Congress right now, we have some really good fundraisers that suck at policy. So if you, a lot of times the people who get elected are the ones that can raise the most money, and that's not necessarily what we need. So
Right.
that's part of the deal.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's been
I'm
fun.
sure we could talk a long time about all of this.
and we will.
So sampetersforcongress.com if you're interested in checking that out.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage everybody, like you're saying, no matter where you're at politically, just take an interest, be involved, be aware.
involved.
Yeah, and there's, if I can, 30 seconds. There is an event Thursday night called An Evening with Candace Owens. If you're
Yes.
interested at all in the conservative movement, she is an amazing woman, and she's going to be at the Emerald at Queensridge on Thursday.
great.
Tickets are available on Eventbrite. Check it out. It's going to be fun. And
Awesome.
I'll be there, and I'll have a small part on stage.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, wraps it up for this month's 50 Shades of Blonde. We thank you, everybody, that our guest. Thank you, David Dendy. Thank you, Jill Branson, for being my co-host.
Thank you, Missy Day.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your service
Thank you.
to our
Yes,
country.
definitely.
appreciate it.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Hi, I'm Sam Peters, owner and operator of Peters Family Insurance, with 2 locations in the Summerlin area of Las Vegas. I'm running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District as well. I want to support the constituents of the 4th Congressional District with a fighting voice in Washington and bring conservative values back to America.